Hey guys, we're actually scripting this video! Woo! Hey everyone, what is up? This is Barai with Rita Hybrid and W Subwoofer, and we are the Condescending Critics. Today we'll be looking at the OCs of a person named MinecraftLovesMedi, so check her out if you want. Note, even if a character is flawed, it doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it needs more work. This video is meant to help you improve your characters, not make fun of you. Also, please do not harass the user in question. This is for entertainment and critique purposes. Now let's get on to the video.
Mine diamonds.
Okay, so this is Meaty, not Medi. Trust me, I got that wrong too for a very long time. And she is Minecraft Love self-rep and main OC. The first thing is the design. It's actually pretty good. It's simple, not really much detail, but it's good for what it's for, and it looks like it can be drawn over and over again, maybe possibly able to be used for animation. It doesn't honestly look like it stands out much from other OCs, but that's okay. I'd also like to point out it's actually acceptable for age. I see a lot of people dress their 12-year-olds OCs in tight strapless bras or draw their adult OCs in little kid clothes. Overall, the design of Meaty is simple but effective. I honestly don't see anything you can improve on here. Now, onto her backstory. Fact. Meaty is fast at melee combat. She won't kill anyone at all. The furthest she'll go is giving mental and or physical scars. Okay, first of all, could you possibly explain why she'll mentally/physically scar someone? Is it only when it's absolutely necessary, or is she completely fine with scarring someone for life? It's best if you elaborated on this because I'm curious. What are her moral grounds in terms of fighting if she won't kill anyone but will scar someone? She gets clingy towards the people she loves. This is most evident with her brother. Backstory. Meaty was born 1 year after her brother into a happy family. She refused to speak until she was 7 using sign language or notepads to communicate. Okay, but could you possibly elaborate as to why she wouldn't speak for years? Is she scarred or mute? Well, that can't be the case because she can talk. It's recommended that you explain why she wouldn't speak and why it's significant. Maybe she could be quiet because of this and might not always explain herself or communicate well. She grew a deep bond with her brother, until her and her brother was exiled into different worlds. She ended up in a snow biome, almost freezing until a stranger took her in. Okay, but why did Meaty and her brother get exiled? It's recommended that you explain this because it's a huge event in her backstory. Did they commit a crime? Is their existence considered taboo? Please elaborate on this. The stranger, named Simon, taught her the methods of surviving and fighting in the wild until he died in Meaty's arms from old age when she was 23. She found a way out of the snow biome by finding a flint and steel, and she ends up in Jesse's world, near his town. She heard of Jesse's accomplishments pretty quickly and headed to Beacon Town. She found Jesse and challenged him to a duel, which she loses. Okay, first of all, thank you! Praise the Lord! Oh my god, you have no clue how thankful I am that you made Meaty lose. It's basically a trope now that the OC is OP and pretty much overpowers every other characters in the canon. Thank you again. Also, it is pretty realistic for her to lose because Jesse, well, he slew a Witherstorm as of the place these events take place in the Minecraft story mode timeline. It's fine if Meaty did put up a fight and Jesse struggled to beat her, but thank you for making her lose. She then gets offered to live in Beacon Town, which she accepts. The next morning, she gets an anonymous tip that her brother is well and alive in the White Pumpkins world, which she goes to with Jesse in the Order. I'd like to know if Meaty's part of the Order or not because it's not really clear if you did say that. Unlike some people, I don't really have a problem if you make your OC part of the Order as long as you give a valid reason and explanation. And it seems like that you do have a valid explanation right here. If Meaty put up a good fight against Jesse, then maybe he could let her into the Order for being a good fighter. Honestly, this backstory is pretty good and fits in well with the Minecraft story mode universe. I can see her being part of the canon cast, honestly. I'd advise you to add a personality part, maybe likes and dislikes and hobbies, and make it a little more detailed all around. I guess the only two problems I have is that there's no explanations as to why she didn't talk for 7 years and why and how she got exiled to a different world. Overall, Meaty seems like a pretty good character, simple but effective. Other than those two things I talked about, I think you're all set.
The next character in Meaty's OC gallery is Dimitri. Her design isn't inherently bad at all. In fact, I absolutely love the eyes and the wristbands on her left arm. However, the colors are kind of bland and mix in with each other, and it makes her hat stand out a bit. So it would be best for her sweatshirt to be more purple, so that way it wouldn't blend into the hair or skin that much. Another thing is her mask. When I read the description of the character, the mask seemed to be a little out of place, since she likes mystery and also hunts shadows. I would replace the bear mask with something a little more intimidating, such as a skull mask, which would match her edgy character a little more. Other than that, the design's good. Now with the backstory. Dimitri was born into a family who could communicate with spirits and shadows. Her father was mainly a shadow hunter, who hunted wicked creatures who lurked in the shadows. If they could communicate with shadows, why would they hunt them? Did something happen to the family that caused them to hunt them down? This is optional, but a little bit of exposition would be helpful. She was then taught the ways of being a shadow hunter at age 5, eventually becoming one at the age of 13. Dimitri was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, having her first depressive episode shortly after becoming a shadow hunter, around 3 days after she became one. She was taken to the hospital, and the doctors confirmed Dimitri was diagnosed, giving her antipsychotics and mood stabilizers to try and help. That's a really accurate diagnosis of bipolar. I'm glad that they didn't figure it out or diagnose themselves, to be honest. My mom actually has bipolar disorder, and she was also diagnosed in a similar way, minus the hospital part. So kudos for that. However, how did she wind up in the hospital? Did she become so depressed she attempted or threatened suicide? It would be best for you to elaborate on that part, please. Anyways, she started hating herself because of this, and feared everyone would leave her. That's when she isolated herself, usually only opening up to family. She started reading novels, particularly mystery novels, leading her to have a love for mystery-related things. When she turned 16, her mother died from brain cancer. Whoa, wait, what? There was no mention of her mother beforehand. And yeah, sometimes cancer can come out of nowhere, but you didn't establish the mother's relationship with Dimitri or her husband, so it proves almost no empathy for the character. Reminds me of someone. So I would like you to provide some sort of relationship with Dimitri's mother. And if it was a positive relationship, maybe show how it affected Dimitri as well. Maybe she became distant from her family for a while since she was grieving or something. If it were negative, maybe she didn't miss them at all, and so on. Doing this can make a character a little more reasonable. Her father and her moved to Edgewood, a place where the sun never rose and creatures of the night roamed freely. Dimitri resumed her shadow hunter training whilst attending school. During the events of Monsters Season 2, Episode 4, she just turned 18, Thomas contacts her and asks her to help with hunting wicked shadows, which her father supports by telling her that this could be her first official shadow hunting task. The one thing that confuses me about this is wasn't she already hunting shadows after she became one? It's weird how she would wait until around 18 to actually hunt shadows. Maybe explain this part of the story so it would make a little more sense to the reader. Other than that, the character itself is pretty good. Like Reese said, simple but effective. Her design is simple but really good, her backstory isn't that long, the pacing is consistent, and her hating herself because of bipolar makes sense. The things I would recommend you to do, however, are to explain her relationship with her mother and how she was affected, the reason why she was sent to the hospital, and explain the reason why she didn't hunt shadows until she was 18. The main thing I would like you to change about her design is the mask, as well as you possibly making the colors stand out a little more. But overall, this character is pretty good. Keep doing what you're doing, because I think you'll get somewhere with this.
Okay, so aside from the pun, the last OC we're gonna review for this video is Alexa. I actually really love the color palette for her regular form. It's nice, simple, and pleasing to the eyes. I personally love color palettes that are like kind of normal, human-like. I know it can be bland, but meh, it's probably just me. However, her wolf form color palette is pretty meh. The cyan tips of her ears slash tail and her yellow eyes don't clash well together. I would recommend dulling down the colors, such as making the cyan tips amber and the eyes a dark amber, like her regular eye color. Moving on to her bio. At first glance, it's kinda really short, so let's just read the description. Personality. Alexa is a feisty but calm character. She's also known as a comeback queen, able to make a comeback when necessary. On full moons, her personality changes from feisty but calm to angry and sassy. On full moons, she is easily angered and will most of the time backchat. I do like the concept of her personality changing based on the moon. Clever use of the full moon myth for werewolves. However, her personality isn't really fully developed, and her transition from her normal personality to her full moon personality maybe explain that transition. Type of supernatural character, werewolf. She has different werewolf forms depending on her mood. If she is calm, her wolf form only consists of her ears and tail. If she is slightly angry, her wolf form has the ears and tail, elbow-length claws, yellow eyes with slit pupils and fangs. If she's at the peak of anger, she transforms into a full-on wolf, but she becomes incredibly hostile and dangerous. Alexa is trying to control her full wolf form in the book if she was in there. Okay, I actually kind of fucking love this concept. Kind of basic, but who cares? The only flaw I have of this is if you only showed her calm and slightly angry form. It would be interesting if you showed your take on her peak of anger form. Weapon of choice. She has daggers, her wolf claw, and her bite as a full-on wolf. Side. She is neutral. She can't decide whether she likes being a werewolf or not. How she died. Alexa was walking home from school when a van arrived at her house. Men inside came and took her. The men turned out to be Yakuzas, who were ordered by her bully to torture her. She was held captive by the Yakuza, where they gagged her, punched, and kicked her, cut her skin, and gave her a blind eye. Alexa eventually died due to blood loss, dehydration, and starvation. Her parents eventually found out about how Alexa died, and the Yakuzas who kept her captive were given a life sentence. The bully who ordered the torture of Alexa was also given a prison sentence. She was eventually entered her second life as a werewolf, waking up in her own coffin at her own funeral. First of all, holy shit, waking up at her funeral as a werewolf? Damn! Second of all, who is her bully? They haven't been mentioned until the Yakuza plot, and we don't know why the bully actually calls the Yakuza to kill her in the first place. Elaborate more on the bully and Alexa's development and what caused him to bully Alexa in the first place. I do like, however, that the perpetrators of the crime were actually punished. I've seen so many stories where the perpetrators either misunderstood or was never found again. Thank you, man. Overall, the character is pretty decent. The design is most pleasing to look at, besides the werewolf form. However, the description is very short and only mentions some of this character's traits. If you added more, the character would be more solid. Other than that, I actually really like this character.
So in all, your characters are pretty good. Pretty simple, but effective. Apologies for using that a lot. You need to elaborate more on things and possibly explain them better, and don't be afraid to go deep into your character's backstory and personality and overall info. I think that too much information for a character is way better than one with too little.
Especially with characters like Alexa, which, as I said earlier, had too little in her description, only around 2-ish paragraphs. Don't be afraid to dive into the pool of your character's backstory, because you will know more about your character and their motives, story, character, and etc.
Another thing, things like continuity in your character's backstory is also important. If you mention that one of their family members died, it would seem to come out of nowhere. Remember to also have your characters be affected too. That's all for today's video. Thank you for watching. If this video hits 1,000 billion million likes, a third video might come out in 10 years. This is the Condescending Critics and Nocturnes signing out.
So this is getting kept in.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Then this might be kept in too.